Hello, everyone. Welcome on into another episode of Press Coverage, where we help you gain an edge in fantasy football. I'm your host, as always, Wyatt Bertolone, and I've got Justin Edwards returning back on the show. Justin, how are you doing? How's your season going?
It's going great. The grind is definitely on. Week 6. This is also the time of year where I forget what week it is a few times a day.
Yeah.
I'll write up a whole blurb about someone possibly breaking out, in week 5. Like, oh wait, week 5 happened like 3 days ago.
Yeah, we
But
are
it's
in the
good.
throes of the season for sure.
How have you been?
It's hard to have a bad time playing on Fast Draft, making money over there. Everyone out there, if you're not on Fast Draft yet, code Wyatt gets you some money when you sign up. But things are going well to start the season. Can't complain too much. Let's jump into these players because that's what everyone's here for anyways. They don't really care about my winnings too much.
They don't care how good or bad we are.
Yeah. All right. First player of the day, RJ Harvey, who's kind of faked us out a bit here because I would say in week 4, it seemed like things were coming around. It started off a little bit slow. We're like, what's this Tyler Batty business? Or Tyler Bidet, excuse me. But in week 4, 40.1% of the snaps, nice increase there. But he also got 50% of the backfield opportunities as a whole. He had a good day on it, almost 20 PPR points. Like, okay, maybe Sean Payton finally coming around for RJ Harvey. But in week 5, he's back down. 20.3% of snaps, just 22.3% of the backfield opportunities in that week 5 win for the Broncos. I also thought it was odd a little bit that this seemed like a game script where you'd want to have RJ Harvey out there too a little bit because they were kind of playing from behind. Like, I'd really like to see him in that kind of like 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill type of stuff. And he was not really out there for that. How are we feeling? Do you think he's going to come back around at any point?
It's a little rough. Like, as you mentioned, Tyler Bidet, he took all of the 2-minute snaps between, like, not even Dobbins was out there. So Bidet was out there. He's also had 8 of the 11 third down snaps. I think it's a little worrying that, we did get that pop-up game finally from Harvey, but it wasn't that blowout. They were up like 21-3 against the Bengals in week 4. And then obviously this much closer game, they're playing from behind, playing the Eagles, and, gets 4 carries in the game. That's kind of upsetting. Also, he had, like, going back to that week 4 game, 7 of his 14 carries were in the fourth quarter. So they were just trying to drain the clock. You would assume that Harvey's not the guy you would want out there to just be draining the clock. He'd be more of someone to offer some explosiveness in a game that you're losing through most of the Philly game. So it's a little worrying. I didn't see when their bye week is. Obviously, we're always waiting for the post-bye rookie bump. But as it stands, with Bidet still getting as much work as he's getting, I'm a little worried.
Yeah. The Cincinnati win, yes, he got 7 carries in the fourth quarter. And this was something like I wanted to dig into a little bit more. And it was like he split the second to last drive for the Broncos with J.K. Dobbins. So Dobbins was playing late into that game too. So it's not even like they pulled starters or anything like that. Like the very last drive of the game, it was just Harvey for 4 carries. But he mixed in that second to last drive in the fourth quarter. So I'm like, well, I don't know if it was them, just running out the clock without the starters or anything like that. But to see this, like, I think it's more just like, when are you ever going to trust Sean Payton? It's kind of like I just don't want to play with that game anymore. I have RJ Harvey in a few places. He's on my bench. I'm leaving him there. I'm certainly not going to release him because I do think he's a talented player. If he gets more opportunities, he could do something with them. But I don't think you can have any faith until we see like multiple weeks in a row of the snap shares, the touches that we're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. And you also, you don't want to be dropping him and having someone else enjoy his second half of the season. We do know that obviously, don't try to put like injury prone tags on people, but we do know Dobbins has had issues over, the last 5 years. So, Harvey has to be one of the better handcuffs you could possibly have right now. If Dobbins goes down, they would probably still do some sort of rotation, even with someone behind Bidet. That's just what Peyton's been doing for years now. It would have been nice to see this like Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara kind of split between Harvey and Dobbins, but it has most assuredly not happened to this point.
I want to kind of give people a little sense of where we are with Harvey rest of the season. So I'm going to ask you him versus a couple other players. Harvey or Isaiah Pacheco?
Oh, man, Harvey.
Yeah,
which is upsetting because of how much Pacheco I entered the season with, but has not gone well either.
In a vacuum, it's Harvey for me. If you were in an absolute bind and needed points right now, I can understand wanting Pacheco, but
Yeah,
I feel like if
that's fair.
if that's the case, I would rather go in a different place to try and find points right now and like hold on to Harvey. Harvey or Kendre Miller?
Probably Harvey, just because he's going to presumably be connected to a better offense through the rest of the season. But that's tougher than I would like to admit. I've been on Kendre for a couple of years now, assuming that he would eventually get a bigger role, and then obviously in the last couple of weeks he has. Will the Saints ship Kamara in the next month or so, or the next few weeks? That would obviously,
it's a big question.
If that were to happen, I would obviously much rather have Kendre Miller. It would just be him and Devin Neal, and I can't even think if they have another back down there.
Taysom Hill, I guess.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
As it stands, probably Travion, sorry.
Harvey, yeah.
RJ Harvey. Like,
the other disappointing rookie.
Rookies. Yeah. So I'd probably rather have Harvey now, but there is that looming possibility that Kamara would leave, which would be huge for Kendre Miller.
I think I'm still with you, preferring Harvey season long. Part of that's also because Kendre Miller's not really a pass catcher. If Kamara's not there, how much does he get? I don't know, but that's not really his specialty. So for that reason, I think it's kind of going to split the difference for me a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a conversation I thought we were going to be having going into week 6 of the season.
No, not at all.
All right. We're going to move on to the Cardinals backfield because it just changes week after week,
Yeah.
So Trey Benson gets to come in and have his time in the spotlight for a hot moment there, and he immediately goes down and goes to the IR. And then coming into this week, they're mentioning all 3 names in the backfield of Michael Carter, DeMercado, Bam Knight. And to an extent, they weren't lying to us. Like, they all got on the field. They all had valuable roles in a way. Michael Carter ended up being, I don't want to call him a bell cow, although he got bell cow opportunities, but he only played 57.4% of snaps. He's got 73.3% of the opportunities, which was good to see for him. Did well with them against a bad defense, granted. Amari DeMercado basically just stuck to his role that he's had when he's been out there. He's kind of that third down back, gets a couple carries. Of course, had the unfortunate fumble. And then Bam Knight kind of just spelled Carter and would get in there and give him some rest. Now, Benson, obviously on IR. So how much faith, I want to say, ask, do we have in Michael Carter? Because this is a good performance. I'm sure people are really excited, but I want, how much faith do you really have in him moving forward? Do you think that DeMercado, does he lose any playing time because of this fumble? What do you think?
I think this is definitely Carter's the guy that we want in the backfield. I don't know exactly how valuable that will be for the rest of the season, or at least until Benson comes back. He's a bit of a plotter. It's very clear that he's not going to get the passing down snaps. DeMercado still played 100% of the third downs, oddly enough. The fumble was obviously brutal to the point that Jonathan Gannon took a swipe at him and got fined like $100,000.
$100K,
yeah. So if he's in the doghouse, maybe Gannon feels bad enough to take him back out of the doghouse. And he's very obviously more explosive. I think it's pretty obvious that Bam Knight's not someone that we want on fantasy squads. If you're thinking of like a deep dynasty squad and you want to add him, that's fine. But this is just like the 2022 Jets backfield right now. Didn't Carter and Bam Knight play together in New York however many years ago that was?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
I think Carter's the guy, but I think he's probably closer to like a deep RB3 kind of fella, like a top 36-ish kind of back, while DeMercado's maybe like a desperation flex in a full PPR league where you're like really up against it because of bye weeks or something. But How do you think? Do you feel like any of these guys are like if they're out there, do we have to be like throwing the rest of our fab at the Cardinals backfield, or is it not
No, I'm pretty much
spicy?
lockstep with you. In my usage report that comes out every Monday for this week, I wrote about this backfield, and that was basically what I said. Is that like Michael Carter, because of the role, is like borderline RB2, can like work up to that, right? I want to stress like the Tennessee Titans defense is not good.
Yeah.
So he had a very good matchup to work off of. I'm not sure how efficient he'll be week in, week out. And then like what you said about DeMarcado, desperation flex if you have to. I got no problem. In some deep leagues, we get in those spots where I think you could play him if you had to. Most standard leagues where it's like 5-6 bench, I don't know if DeMarcado's on your bench there, but if you're in a tough spot, could be. And yeah, Bam Knight's not really rosterable at this point, but if another injury happens,
Right.
like I think we know that they're not going to move up DeMarcado's role anymore. So like Bam Knight would just be the new Michael Carter if anything happened to Carter.
Yeah, if the stretch of last second field goals and IR jumps for the running backs continue, then Bam Knight is also a little more interesting.
All right. Here's a good question to work a couple of these together. Michael Carter or RJ Harvey right now, rest of the season. I mean, we know that Michael Carter's not going to hold on this job, but he could be valuable while he has it. Whereas RJ Harvey, we don't know when he'll be valuable.
That's very true.
What do you think?
I think if you are desperate, I would take Carter for like, let's say we're talking about the next 2 weeks. You really need a running back that's going to score some crooked numbers. I would rather have Michael Carter, but I think for the rest of the season, it's pretty easily RJ Harvey for me.
Yeah, that's exactly the way I would look at it. Is that if you're in a tough spot right now, you need points. Yeah, if you need points now, Michael Carter. If you're okay with waiting, it's RJ Harvey. All right, we're going to take a quick moment to hear about the Fast Draft Quick 6 Super Slam, and when we come back, we're talking about Rico Dowdle.
Pour one out for an incredible best ball season. It was a breakout 2025 for Fast Draft, but now the NFL action has started. That means it's DFS season. That's right. You might think, oh, wow, DFS, I can't win DFS. Oh, but you can on Fast Draft. You just pick any 6 guys, and you put them in a handful of booster spots. There's no salary rubric you have to follow. You're not going up against thousands of killer bots in these tournaments. Oh, no. These are regular people grabbing their 6 favorite plays of the week, and that's all you have to do. And we post the ownership so that you can choose how much chalk you want. There is no drafting. It's called the Quick 6 Super Slam. The Quick 6 Super Slam is the signature DFS contest at Fast Draft. It is changing DFS. We are making DFS great again. So go to fastdraft.app and use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. And let's go start drafting faster.
Back here on press coverage with Justin Edwards, and we're on to Rico Dowdle, who put up an amazing 30.2.4 PPR points in week 5. Ridiculous stuff, running over 200 yards. He might have the highest rushing total for the season, and he just did it. 67.1% of snaps, 83.9% of the backfield opportunities while Chuba Hubbard was out. There was some talk that maybe Trevor Etienne gets mixed in some. He really didn't get as much as people thought he might. DJ Dallas actually played a decent amount, but he was in pure passing situations for blocking purposes. So the question is, Chuba Hubbard's coming back sooner rather than later. This wasn't expected to be a long-term injury. He could even be back this week. It's possible. I'm not really thinking he's going to be back in week 6, but he's coming back soon. Has Rico Dowdle earned a bigger role even when Chuba Hubbard is healthy based on this and presumably what he does in week 6?
Yeah, I would say so. He's also in a really good spot to continue adding on to that performance in week 6. Gets the Cowboys, obviously some revenge game narrative there. Also, the Cowboys are not a good defense. They're 30th in schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to running backs, so they're the 3rd worst team according to schedule adjusted fantasy points. Even if Hubbard comes back this week, I would think that after Dowdle gets a 200-yard game, that they'll probably ease Hubbard in. I can't remember if they have a week 7 bye, but I think they have a bye coming up. So I wonder if they would let him just kind of ease back in a little bit. Prior to the Hubbard, I guess, 1 game absence, it was a pretty classic like 65-35 split. I feel like Dowdle's in a good spot to build off a couple of good weeks and make this a little closer to a 50-50 split, which is a little upsetting because it's not like the Panthers are like this high octane offense we're expecting to score over 24 points in a given week. So if it is kind of like a 50-50 split, it's a little worrying, especially if DJ Dallas is getting any run at all, even if it is just on third downs and mop-up work.
Yeah, I'm a little bit on the fence on what's really going to happen when Chuba Hubbard comes back, because Dave Canales has been a 3-down workhorse running back kind of guy as long as he's had the opportunity to do so. Will he change his colors because of this? I'm not positive. I think he should. I think Chuba Hubbard's a solid running back, but I also think Rico Dowdle's a solid running back too. And this might be one of those, like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle situations. Like, after a performance like that, it's really hard to move on. Yeah, really hard to move on from that. Now, maybe Chuba Hubbard doesn't play week 6. Rico Dowdle comes out and he gives us a stinker. And it's like, well, okay. He, captured magic for a week, and that's all that really was. But he is somebody who played fairly well for the Cowboys last year. 1,200 yards is nothing to sneeze at in the NFL. And it might not have been pretty all the time. He's not particularly explosive running back, but he gets the job done and gets some tough yards. So
he's no Javonte Williams.
He is no Javonte Williams. That is for sure. Who looks completely rejuvenated. The Cowboys made the absolute right decision. If anybody remembers our show from the summer where we were absolutely off of Javonte Williams, we were eating crow right now. Whoops. That's one of those, like, the big losses I just have to take the L on, where it's Javonte just looks like old Javonte. Right. He's good. Like, I don't know, what can you say? I was completely wrong about that. But yeah, Chuba comes back. I don't know if it's like 50-50, but maybe it does at least creep closer to that. What does that mean for Rico Dowdle rest of the season? What does that mean for Chuba Hubbard rest of the season? I think it's like Chuba becomes low-end RB2 rest of the season. Rico Dowdle becomes someone you could probably flex week to week, potentially. You agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but in my opinion, Hubbard easily gets bumped out of that like fringe RB1 role where he's like a top 15 play every week. And I think he's probably closer to like a top 20-ish play or top 24-ish play. But maybe not. Yeah, like you said, if Dowdle comes out this week,
I almost
and really this Doodle, if Dowdle comes out this week and really craps the bed against what has been a very bad rush defense, then maybe this is all forgotten and it's just Hubbard back in week 7, week 8, and beyond, and we'll remember the Dowdle blow up game fondly.
Yeah, forever in our minds. Okay. Moving on to the Ravens offense, because Lamar Jackson dealing with an injury out in week 5, probably going to be out in week 6, not completely ruled out, but they've got a bye coming up in week 7. It honestly makes sense for him to sit another game and come back after the bye, hopefully healthy for them, because this offense looks terrible with Cooper Rush at the helm. While Cooper Rush, I thought, looked all right, looked like one of the better backup quarterbacks while he was with the Cowboys. He's not the same kind of fit for this type of offense that they've have here in Baltimore, and I just don't think they can do the same things that they want to do. Derrick Henry, for as good as he is a running back who does need a little bit of space to get going before he can really pick up steam and be unstoppable. And when he doesn't have those not clear lanes, but like more open lanes because of the threat Lamar Jackson, it's harder for him to get going. Not to mention, like, this team is just battered throughout, and normally a defense being really bad makes the offense, good because we're going to get some garbage time. But this team almost seems like defeated, just like as a whole, because they're just struggling. In week 5, Zay Flowers had an okay game because he caught all 5 of his targets for 72 yards. But like, other than that, even Derrick Henry with a touchdown under 10 PPR points, like, this was not good. The offense only ran 40 plays, which is like wild.
That's like Army Navy level of plays.
Yeah. I'm positive we've had multiple teams this year have that many plays and a half. Right. So it's just not looking great as long as Cooper Rush is quarterback. And we're hoping Lamar Jackson comes back healthy. My question to you basically right now is, what are we doing with Ravens players for now and for the future? Because is Lamar going to be healthy? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a huge concern, honestly. as you said, the offense just looked bad. This is like the Derrick Henry on bad Titans teams, where if a week goes by and he doesn't rip like a 60-yarder, he's like the RB 25. And if he does rip a 60-yarder, obviously he's a top 5, top 7 guy. But if he's not going to catch passes, and he's not going to have those extra lanes, not that he can't bowl people over, but like a 15 rushes for 33 yards is a brutal stat line for those are Chase Brown level rush attempts there. Cooper Rush had so his adjusted net yards per attempt, so that takes into account interceptions and sacks. It was 1.33 yards per attempt, easily the lowest of the week. It was the 5th lowest on the year. Little piece of trivia: there's only one quarterback who has thrown for less than 1.33 adjusted net yards twice this season. Do you want to try to guess? When you want to try to guess who it is? It's not
Jake
Cam
Browning.
Ward. It's actually not Jake Browning, but he had like a 0.33. It's Geno Smith.
That doesn't surprise me because Geno's lost it. He's back to Jets Geno this year.
He's absolutely back to Jets Geno. But anyways, back to Baltimore. As you mentioned, they're decimated. Lamar Jackson's questionable. Ronnie Stanley's been in and out of the lineup. He's questionable. Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, Chidobe Awuzie, Kyle Hamilton. They're all still questionable here in week 6. Do you think they just they can't just punt week 6 just because they have a bye week coming up? But Ronnie Stanley's really getting up there, and if this team's 1-6 or 1-5 going into week 8 out of their bye, what are we going to see here? I guess we can trust Zay Flowers. Henry's like a RB2 just because he's Derrick Henry, but I don't want Isaiah Likely or Mark Andrews on my, or Rashad Bateman or any of the ancillary pieces. I don't want any of those guys in a starting lineup.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought. In PPR, I'm still comfortable starting Zay Flowers. I do think he's fairly safe as that number 1 target earner in the offense. Derrick Henry, I would say if you have 2 other top 24 running backs, I might just sit him. I don't know if I want to play this game as long as it's Cooper Rush. He is Derrick Henry. That seems really hard to actually put him on my bench. But if I do have, I'm absolutely I'm playing Rico Dowdle over him easily. This week, I might play Michael Carter over Derrick Henry this week.
Brutal.
Absolutely.
I'm not even
I don't feel good
it's just
saying
brutal.
It. But those are the types of conversations I think you have to have with yourself this week, honestly. But Zay Flowers, I can still dig in PPR. Half PPR, maybe not, just because there's no touchdown equity in the offense right now, at all. So it's gonna be tough for him to really get there in half PPR. But boy, we need Lamar Jackson back. And you can't. And that's the tough part about these players too, is that you can't offload them for anything. Or here's actually a good question: are you buying low anywhere with the thought that Lamar Jackson's back at some point and they'll get back on track?
Yeah. I guess it matters. I guess it depends on what that buy low would look like.
Of course.
Yeah, we're looking at pieces that were going in the 2nd and 3rd round. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. J.K. Dobbins or Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm gonna keep coming up because I want to see where the line is for rest of the season. Cam Scadabo.
Derrick Henry.
I'm real close on that one.
Yeah.
Real close.
The idea being that if Lamar Jackson is in the offense, it's going to be more explosive than what Jackson Dart is going to produce with the Giants. Tyrone Tracy is coming back. I think Scottaboo's done plenty to be the RB1 there, but I think I like Tracy more than I probably should too. So I think he'll be more of a threat to Scottaboo than Keaton Mitchell or Justice Hill, I guess.
Okay. Let's do Travis Etienne or Derrick Henry.
Dang. I'd probably rather have Travis Etienne. That might be the line.
I'm with you. I'm still a big fan of Bashal Tutin. And I've even been quoted saying I'd rather have Bashal Tutin rest of the season, I think a couple weeks ago, because I don't know if this role holds up all season long, but that role for Tootin has not grown. Like he is the number 2 back, and he's getting his touches every week, but like he's just getting those touches and those opportunities. It is not growing. ETN is their guy, and ETN looks good.
ETN kind of as a side here, between him and Javonte Williams, it's like neck and neck for 2 guys I got terribly wrong in like June or July.
Yeah, I do not have much ETN. I have like a little bit because when training camp started and they're like, no, we're giving him like he's looking good. He's doing all the things. So they were talking about, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Like the only thing I did right with the Jags backfield was like, I'm not drafting Tank Bigsby. But I did not get enough. Yeah, I didn't get enough ETN. All right, we've got one more player left today, and that's Calvin Ridley. Weeks 1 through 4, he total 24 targets, only caught 10 of them, 141 yards. He had 24.1 PPR points combined first 4 weeks. In week 5, 10 targets, 5 catches, 131 yards, 18.1 PPR points. Is Calvin Ridley back? Is he now got that connection with Cam Ward, or is this just a little magic in a bottle for week 5? What do we think?
Sure seems like a lot of sizzle that could just go away right back where it was. The connection, as you said, has been pretty miserable. Cam Ward has been one of the least accurate passers in the league. He has a 69.7% on target rate, which is 28th out of 34 qualifying quarterbacks. And it's been compounded by the fact that Ridley ranks 43rd out of 44 receivers in on target catch rate. So Cam Ward's been incredibly inaccurate, and passes that Ridley should be coming down with, he has not been. But he does have the 21st most raw air yards in the league, so he is down the field, so that could excuse some of those inaccuracies. He's not like taking DJ Moore screen passes 4 times a game or anything like that. So it's more volatile than we'd like it. Obviously, anytime you score 18 points in a game, we're ready to buy back in. I will say he did something incredibly similar last year when he was the wide receiver 66 through the first 7 weeks of the season. In the back half, or week 8 onwards, he was wide receiver 26. So if this connection grows, you would assume that the Titans will continue to be throwing all season long. Tony Pollard hasn't really been ripping it up. Their defense is not good. So this is like it's probably too late to be a buy low, but I can buy into Calvin Ridley being more of a consistent wide receiver 3 through the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think Ridley is like a boom bust wide receiver 3. I don't know what you're going to get week to week. Sometimes we're going to have weeks like this. Sometimes we're going to have weeks where he scores 3 points because they can't connect. It's just kind of the role that he has in Tennessee. Like you mentioned that it was going on last year. It's kind of just a variance thing, right? Like he's working downfield a lot. He's getting some of these deep passes, and those are harder to connect on, especially when you have a young, inaccurate quarterback a lot of times. So there's just going to be that natural variance to this game. Sometimes he's going to explode. Sometimes he's not. I do think Cam Ward, like you see the flashes of like, that's why he's the number 1 pick. Like there's like that one particular like throw to Ridley up the seam where he just like, rips it in, and you're like, okay, yeah, like that's that kind of arm talent.
Keep doing that.
Why he gets but then all the bad habits are there still, and they're not getting fixed. And honestly, I think Brian Callahan is like probably one of the worst head coaches in the NFL. I mean, the guy didn't even know like how the catch rule worked. So I don't think he's doing him any real favors at this point. They invest in the offensive line, but that hasn't really come together the way they wanted it to. So it's tough to have to I think this is going to be a lot like last year, kind of basically how you mentioned. There's going to be a lot of variance. Sometimes it's going to be there, sometimes it's not. And then at the end of the season, he's going to be like wide receiver 31. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
All right. Someone mentioned this, and I don't even remember who it was or where it was, but someone was like, well, they probably don't want to fire Brian Callahan because of all the work that Bill Callahan is putting into the offensive line. So they don't want to lose the dad. So they're trying to keep the son for as long as possible, which makes sense. I mean, he is historically one of the best offensive line coaches ever. And they certainly need some help, still need some help along that offensive line. Like you said, I think it's not going to be pretty, but Ridley will be more than serviceable in some weeks. And hopefully you have a nice possession receiver or two in your first 2 wide receiver slots to compensate for those goose eggs.
Here's a question for you, because this was a real conversation, and I think maybe still is. But do you think Alec Ayumanor is their wide receiver 1 at some point this season for the team? Like, do you think he takes over Ridley?
I don't think so, but I think it's absolutely in the realm of possibilities. I think maybe they just start, especially not if they continue to lose, since they are going to continue to be losing. Maybe it's more prudent for them to see what they can get out of Ayumanor for the rest of the season. DK has not been playing at all, has he?
It's very, very sparingly.
Yeah.
And,
so
he's doing special teams a lot.
Hey,
I believe he had a big
Tyler Lockett got
week,
that goofy touchdown last week.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe he'll
apparently
come
Tyler
along.
Lockett is playing because he did get that touchdown, but I don't really see him.
I saw him. I saw his whole body.
Yeah. I think with Ridley, maybe you actually try to use this to be like, hey, Ridley's back. Do you want to buy him in your league and see how far up you can go with Ridley to see what you can get? Do you think you get Zay Flowers with Ridley now?
I don't think so, but I would try.
I mean, I would add on to Ridley to do that, like something small,
a
lower bench piece if that gets the deal done or something like that to try and
move
up to a Zay Flowers.
I would absolutely say yes to that.
Trying to think of another player. Do you think you get Jameson Williams?
Ooh, yeah. A lot of managers who have Jameson Williams absolutely hate watching Jameson Williams play. I'm here for it. Yeah, I would try to do that too, and I think you probably could. People hate starting Jameson Williams in their fantasy leagues.
Yeah, well, he's just like the better version of Ridley, I would say.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But Ridley has the more recent production, so maybe you can get that deal done.
Yeah, I would love that.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'm glad we're on the same page there. That's a good way to end. All right. Appreciate you, Justin, as always, for joining me. Before we get out of here, though, you got to let people know where to find you, find your work, all that stuff.
Follow me over on the X or Twitter at Justin_Redwards. If you're looking for like little snippets of quick YouTube shorts, minute-long videos, Sal and I have an Ask Us FF channel on YouTube, just 60-second clips, usually like waiver wire or roster moves or whatever. And then all of my writing is over on 4for4.com.
Love it. Appreciate you being here again, as always. For me, you can follow me on Twitter, WyattB_FF. Check out my usage report that comes out every Monday on PlayerProfiler.com. Like and subscribe. Get on Fast Draft. All those things. I appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.